Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Randall. This is the McClures. We react, review, we make fun of, we laugh at stuff over here. Links in the description if you want to help support. ShopMcClures.com is the website you can buy quality American products at. That helps support me and keeps me going. YouTube won't pay me because they suck. So we're relying on you guys to help me out. So links in the description if you want to do so. And we're continuing on our Crowder stream today. We went over the Dave Landau interview with Michael Malice and went over that whole topic. We're going to jump into the Candace Crowder issue next. But before that, I wanted to look at this. So this is Chrissy Mayer. She's a stand-up comedian, and she has a podcast now. Looks like she did an interview with Owen Benjamin a year ago on what really happened with Owen Benjamin and Steven Crowder. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Owen Benjamin also used to write for that show. I don't know if he was ever on the show, but he was definitely, he definitely wrote for the show. So let's see what happened there. See if there's any through line or common thread with what happened here versus what just happened with Dave. During the break, I checked out your store. Will be a future customer. Oh, hell yeah. I appreciate that. And if there's anything on the store or anything not on the store that you would like to try to find and put on there, definitely let me know. Yeah, so if there's anything, I don't know, that's hard for you to find that's American made, or something you wish that you could find American made, or maybe something that you buy regularly, you'd rather buy it from me, let me know, and I can do some research and see if I can find a distributor for it. But let's get into this. Let's see what Owen Benjamin has to say about the Crowder drama, or his Crowder drama from back in the day.
Irish Net. Curious what happened with Crowder. Is there a bad blood there? Don't answer if you are compelled to pull a Jack Murphy.
What's Jack Murphy? Oh, is he
that I love that you don't know. I love. Oh my fucking god! The people that are following this Jack Murphy drama are gonna like laugh so hard that you're like, is it that?
So, do you guys all know the Jack Murphy drama? Apparently, he was on Elijah Schaefer's podcast. What was that one called? He had a podcast, him and a girl on Blaze Media, and they asked Jack Murphy a question from the comments, and he went psycho and yelled at the host and shit, and kind of blew up his whole career. So that's kind of funny.
That gay guy. He was like this conservative, like masculinity influencer type guy, and then his porn, like that was on Chatterbait, like came up, and it wasn't just like him, you know, stunt dicking it, which a lot of guys do, and you never see their face. It was him fully in frame with like something in his butt, and it's like you can tell for him part of the kink was like, because you know what I mean, like he was doing this all simultaneously. So I think for him part of the mental kink was like, oh, I might get found out, I might get discovered.
Right,
why wouldn't you totally wipe that all away when you enter this like new sort of like conservative world? But anyway, so this all got tipped off. Like the tipping point was when he went on a show and the host asked him about cucking, and in his mind he thought, oh, she's trying to out me and all my stuff, my like sexy past, but really she had no fucking clue. And he was like, fuck you, heartfelt, fuck you, heartfelt, and like took it to an 11. And she was like, what? Whoa. And then people started looking into him, and all this stuff got unearthed. And it wasn't that I think anyone really has a problem with the fact that he did porn. He just wasn't honest about it, and he didn't.
Yeah,
he
that's what people.
He was on my show that I have porn stars on all the time. We literally made a joke about him doing a sex tape, and he said nothing. Like that's what upsets me. It's like he had every opportunity to come clean and be like, yeah, I can be pro masculinity and have sex tapes, like, and it's all good. But I think because he wanted to shove himself into this box and be this like perfect thing.
Well, you can't be pro masculinity and have cuck tapes. You may be able to have a sex tape and be okay, but you definitely can't have the cuck tape. That whole situation was funny as hell.
That crumbled on him.
And that doesn't work ever. Like your secrets are what get you. So it's like, I don't hide anything because it always comes out, especially if you live stream all the time. Everyone's going to figure out exactly who you are. So why hide any of that? Oh, so what happened with Crowder? You know, I don't want to just be like this big gossip guy, but just basically.
Well, you did it. You like were on the show, or you were like part of the show?
I was like his head writer for like a year, and I used to do
wow.
sketches with him all the time. Yeah, and it's like there were certain topics that I was exploring that made him very uncomfortable, and you know, Not Gay Jared and all those guys all quit too because there was a lot of just, you know, a lot of drama, a lot of stuff, and you know, dressing in drag to own the libs, you know, that kind of wears on me a little bit, but I wish him well. He's a dad now, so that's it.
Was it like trans stuff? Like were you trying to push like conspiracy type?
No, I tracked. Yeah, you know, I had some questions on the moon landing.
Okay, that's fun to talk about. Oh, that's I don't know.
I got some questions on the moon landing, also, buddy.
Not when your dad's like best friend was like the colonel in the Air Force. No, it was like a whole thing. And then also, the pharmaceutical company that made all the transgender child hormones is Teva Pharmaceuticals out of Israel. So I was like, can we talk about that? And everyone's like, no.
Wow, that's interesting. I never heard of
really?
that.
I thought that he had me host this whole show once to talk about the transgender child abuse movement. And so I'm not playing. Like, I'm not a grifter. I'm not like someone that just says stuff to get attention. I'm like, I genuinely hate child abuse. And so I'm like, hey, everybody, you'll never guess. Me and my Scooby-Doo team figured out exactly where all these hormones are come from. And it was like immediately like, no. And you're like, okay, man. And then it's just like, it just kept snowballing. And then like, you know,
that does seem to be the third rail for conservatism is talking negatively about Israel, which is weird because they're not part of the United part of America. They are not us. So it is weird that you're not allowed to say anything negative against Israel whatsoever at any point ever.
It was just, I don't know, just nonsense.
And it's not like, I'm sure you weren't pitching ideas to piss anybody off. You were probably like, hey, even the most idiot, like random person can see, hey, it's almost like they're trying to create a market. You know what I mean? Like if this is being pushed and they're making this look like summer camp to little kids, like, wow, I can be trans, I can be accepted, I can get validation, I'm immediately special. My parents bend to my every whim. This is great. It's all the things that kids want at a time when you're like spongy enough to go along with whatever. So it's like anybody can make that observation. It's like, but then you just pitch that and then you're, you know what I mean? You pitch this idea, but then you're left with like, no, like it's an overcorrection, or it's like what you pitch is like this much. And then they go, oh no, like it's met with a lot of anger. It probably makes you go like, oh, fuck, why? What's so wrong with that?
Right. And that's like, no, that's a sacred, like we don't go there. And I'm like, oh, yeah,
sacred.
And so then like, and so that got me a little paranoid for a little bit. It's almost like the Jack Murphy thing. I'm like, so what the hell are they hiding? And then I no longer care. It's just like another country.
True. It's like you could totally go into that. Yeah. There are so many little nuggets. Yeah.
Like I did a whole episode just on the Wallenberg family in Sweden and how they own Ericsson and all that. Like if you're conspiratorial minded, this is what I learned. You can focus on any area of the world and convince yourself that that's why there's problems in the world. So what I figured out is the way to end trans child movement is for me to be a really good dad and to be part of my community. And so they're not raised by television screens that are trying to coax them into this type of stuff. And that's all I have power over.
That's facts.
And so in the end of the day, I see the point of not going down some rabbit holes, but at the same time, it's a process that if you don't do it, you don't know why not to do it, you know? And so, because I was one of the first people to talk about the Sackler family. Now there's like HBO documentaries about them. It's like there was one family that was responsible for all the oxy in America. Like, yeah. So like I've lost friends, close friends to opioid abuse. And like a lot of them were vets that got hooked on these pills that were given to them after they served in Afghanistan. And so I figure out that the patents are owned by this one family. And I'm like talking about the Sackler family really is responsible for a genocide that happened in America. And so then
Oh, for sure.
now it's open. They've been sued. They lost billions of dollars. They're blamed for like, but when I did it, I was called anti-Semitic. And this is what happened to me. Like, I never had a problem with like Jewish people or anything. It was like every time I would find something, people would go, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." I'm like, I didn't even know what Sackler, a Jewish name. Like, I don't know what that is. And so it's almost like the over paranoia made me a little paranoid. And then I realized,
people
like,
are
well,
overcorrecting you, and you're like,
oh
wait,
yeah, like Epstein, Weinstein, Woody Allen. Like, I'm listing all these Hollywood pedos, and they're like, "You're anti-Semite." I'm like, I didn't even think of that. Like, I never even thought to.
right?
That's why.
Yeah, you're like, I wasn't correlating that with their ancestral bloodline. I was just pointing out who is what. If you're making a correlation, then that's on you.
People. I thought they were just people, and we were like talking about, are you a good person or bad person? We're not thinking about like,
Right.
who you
That's the right
are. It
answer.
differentiates if you're a good or bad person. Like what category you fit into denotes whether we look into this or not.
Yeah, exactly. And so my innocence actually kind of revealed like an uncomfortable situation, and like, and I get it, and it's fine. I'm not for everybody, and that's why I'm glad to be doing my own thing. But now if you do a stream about the Sackler family, no one cares because it's open knowledge. But when I did it, it wasn't. And in the end of the day, it's still your responsibility to not take drugs. And so to blame the dealer because of your addiction is really not actually fair. And so I've actually come full circle to self-ownership with this stuff, because for a while I was like, oh, they're pumping this in and doing that. Unless you don't have free will, which I think exists only with children. That's why child abuse bothers.
I mean, he's a little bit wrong there, because how they were pushing the opioids, I guess technically people had free will, but their doctor was saying, take this, it'll get rid of your pain, and there's no problem with it whatsoever. You know what I mean? So oil rig workers and miners and, construction guys and every other man who's working through pain on a day-to-day basis started taking opioids so they could work without pain. And then all of a sudden they're blowing a dude in an alley for a fucking dime bag. So interesting. Well, he didn't really say much there on Crowder, other than Crowder was super protective of Israel. And the only correlation there with what happened with Dave is the censorship. So Crowder is supposed to be anti-censorship, pro-free speech, all this stuff. But it seems to be a trend that his writers and co-hosts are very censored with what they're allowed to write and what they're allowed to say, which might just be a business thing, especially when Owen Benjamin was on there. They were monetized on YouTube. So it might have been a different situation there. Yeah, you could ask Jordan Peterson what opioids do to you. That's for sure. Yeah, so to say you can't blame the dealer, I do understand the concept. But for the Sackler family, they literally lied, hid, cheated, stole. They knew they were dangerous. They didn't care. I think documents even came out that they factored in, even if it was found out and they were sued, that they would have to pay X amount of dollars, but it would still be profitable. So let's go ahead and do it anyways. So definitely some shady bullshit behind that. But that was a little off topic. I thought that was going to be a little more on topic, so that's my bad.